8 real channels. Yes, as of the 15th of August 2025, Osee has released an update for the Duet 8 ISO that makes this a full 8 channel mixer physically. This is the Osee GoStream Duet 8 ISO. Welcome back to the channel. Now, if you followed this channel for some time, you'll know that I absolutely love my Osee mixers. And one of the reasons that I've always enjoyed the brand is they always listen to their customers, number one, but number two, they release such amazing updates that literally takes your mixer and turns it into something that you probably didn't even know that you purchased. Now, when the Osee Duet 8 ISO arrived in my hands, one of the things that kind of got me was it wasn't really a full 8 channel mixer. Yes, it was a channel in terms of the last 4 channels were kind of USB or RTMP and all of that, but it wasn't full 8 channel. And that is until now, because anyone that had bought one, you don't need to update anything in terms of hardware or send it back. You download a software update and this is going to blow your mind. I've played with this device for some time and I've been patiently waiting for an update because a lot of the features when this device got into my hands wasn't all there, but finally they are. Now I'm going to take you through this device. I'm going to show you absolutely everything on this device and everything that I physically know. As of right now, Osee is probably going to release more and more updates to make this thing even better and do extra stuff. I'm going to start with the ports. On the back, you have 2 XLR inputs. And yes, you can choose if you want to use 2 XLR inputs or 2 3.5mm inputs, because there are 2 3.5mm inputs. Now, you cannot use all 4 at once, but you can mix and match and use 1 XLR and 1 3.5. Then you have your Ethernet port, which is used for connecting your device to the internet or using it for NDI if you're not going to be live streaming something. Then you have 2 USB-C ports, which are also fully customizable, and I'll show you that in a bit, because it's not just a USB-C port for SSDs. There's quite a bit more to this. After that, you have a lock-in power cable, which is always nice. And then the cool part, 4 HDMI and 4 SDI. Now, like I said originally, you could either choose. You're either running camera 1 in HDMI 1 and SDI 2, camera 2, and so you would go, essentially a 4-channel mixer. But this is now changed and you can actually use all 4 of them and assign them to all 8 buttons on the actual mixer, making this a full 8-channel ISO device. Then you have the outputs. Now you do have 3 outputs. One HDMI is dedicated to your multi-view, which is number 3. And then the other HDMI and SDI is fully customizable. But not just that, they're customizable on the deck just by using the buttons. This is going to be an AV person stream when you're using multiple monitors or displays in a venue. And I'm going to show you that in a bit. Finally, you have a 3.5mm headphone jack, as well as a physical sliding power button, which is great to see. It's something that I've always enjoyed. I hate depressing a button for a second or 2, and when you switch it off, it's a second or 3. Just give us a switch that we slide. You do have 2 large vents on either side, as well as a fan underneath. So if you are worried about your GoStream Duet 8 ISO getting hot, this thing stays cool for a very, very long time. I haven't got mine hot yet. I know the original one did get quite warm, and then they included fans. This one just stays cool pretty much forever. The buttons. Now, the button layout that Osee has over here is very easy to use. It's pretty simple, and it's not going to take you a long time to get actually used to this, especially if you've used the GoStream, the original one, because this is somewhat similar, but just better. Now, moving into the buttons, I'm going to give you a pretty cool rundown on this, and it's going to absolutely blow your mind how simple they've made this and how cool some of these extra features actually are. Starting on the left-hand side, you have a stream button over here. Now, you do have 3 different lights. 1, 2, and 3. These are for your 3 different streaming platforms. Tap it, it will start to connect, and it'll actually show you in your multi-view if it has been connected, and if it is connected, if it is live streaming, bitrate, the whole lot is there. Moving over, and this is the super cool part about the extra outs. Now you do have an out 1 and out 2. Now this is connected to out 2 currently. And besides for me switching and checking my program, so here is my program screen that you can see, and I can switch my program screen. I can cut to 1, 2, 3, and I can do what I want to. However, I do have an output for this, and I have all my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus preview, plus program available. So this screen over here, I can actually just change it on the fly without changing my actual program. if that makes sense. So right now there's a video loaded there. I can actually play that video, even though my program screen is something very different. I can put myself into program, and this is playing that video, loop into the next video. So this is kind of a second mixer in one. Very, very cool. So I'm going to stop that video. Let's put something back on there. Maybe let's go to this one. We haven't changed our program feed whatsoever. Moving over into the buttons, you then have the audio mixer. Now I think it's about time to tell you about Soundstripe, which is the sponsor of today's video. Now before you click away, I want you to hear about something called Soup, which makes creative agencies, solo creators, filmmakers, production companies, it makes your job so much easier. We've all got the issue when it comes to finding music. Now what Soundstripe has done, they have a massive library of music, but this new feature called Soup is an AI assistant, and it's not what you think it is. You can type in what you are looking for your project. I'm making an action sport video edit. It's super cool, fast-paced, really aggressive. What have you got? Soup goes and gives you a list of what it has that suits your criteria. And on top of that, it gives you a drill down with a couple of options so you can cherry pick and refine that search. I've used Soup multiple times and they've never missed once. Honestly, it makes life so much easier when you're searching for music that it's nothing like before. You can head over to www.soundstripe.com/rich and Soundstripe will hook you up. I will leave a link in the description below where you can check it out after this video. Back to those buttons. Now you do have input 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and these are all the inputs over here, whatever they have been assigned to. So whether it's 4 HDMI, 4 SDI, or 4 HDMI, 2 media players, these inputs control these buttons over here, and that is the way to look at it. You have mic 1 and mic 2, which will control your XLR inputs on the back, whether you're using the XLR or the 3.5. And then you have a program button, which allows me to control the program volume on its own going out. So I can change my program over here, as you can see, and I can set my program audio alone. I then have a headphone one, tap headphones, and I can control the volume of my headphones that I'm listening to. So I'm just going to take the program down again, just so that I know it's reset. Great stuff. Now you've got one, you can tap to audio number 1, which is actually camera 1 over here, and you can see that it's on. If I tap on over here, it will switch audio number 1 off. If I tap it on and I go to audio follows video, then the audio will follow the video, and you also have a video follows audio feature in here too, which is actually really, really cool, and I'll get to that in a bit. So let's switch it back on, and then you have an effects mode. So you can actually switch on effects for every single channel, mic 1, mic 2, and you can enable effects with each input of audio, and this is your dial wheel to control all of it. And what I'm going to show you with the FX and how easy it is to go through here and check which channel has effects applied, you're going to absolutely love the effects. Moving over, we do have a macro and a scene section. Now the macro section is pretty cool. So I have already created macros and I will show you. I can go over here. Let's put number 1 into the main screen and I can hit macro number 1 and that's loaded it into the preview and I can cut to that and it's got my lower thirds over there. I'm going to cut back and I'm going to take it off. And then I've got a second one, which isn't going to work right now. Right, so I'm going to load number 3, and you can see number 3 is actually the video in the corner, and this is your memories or your macros. And then you have a scene button, and if I tap scene over here, it will enable a whole scene section. Now what the scene section is, I can actually go into the menu and I can set everything that you see here on my multi-view as a scene. Basically what that scene does is it saves all my camera angles and everything that I've got in here at once, so that if I do know that at the start of the show I need to have my cameras laid out like X, Y, Z, you can save it as a scene. When you move into the second half of the show, you can save that as a scene too. It's kind of a snapshot of the screen that you see right now and saves everything over there so that you can move into a different section and you kind of know. Really helpful, really handy for a lot of larger productions. Moving over, you then have an MV button, menu, P1 and P2, as well as the standard little dial. Now the standard little dial, if you hit menu, as you can see in the multi-view over here, it brings up the menu and I can control it, tap it in to select menu to go back, and that's how that works. The MV button over here is to change the multi-view, as you can see. So right now I'm changing my multi-view if I only wanted to run it like this or like that and see more. So it's entirely up to you. If you want to run your multi-view like that, you can. It's just an extra little look into multi-view. Then you have P1, and if I tap P1, it will open up player 1. So there's 2 different players on here. I have my players right now assigned to buttons 5 for number 1, and number 2 is number 6. And by tapping these, you can actually have quick access using this wheel to actually get there and select a. So right now we've got player 1, which is number 5, and I'm going to select Osee RX slot, and it's going to load an RX video into there for an RX lens. And I can actually play that video while it's still, whoopsie daisy. I can play that video while it's still in the preview and check it out. Moving up into the right-hand section again, you have a record, stop, and an ISO button. So here you can record, you can stop your recording, and you can obviously check that you are recording in ISO. You can activate ISO recording. Right now, it's not going to be active because I haven't plugged the SSD into here. It's just an SD card. And that's going to get me to the fact that ISO will always record to an SSD and not to an SD card. You can record your program out, your normal program out to an SD card, but if you do want ISO recording, like most mixers, you're going to have to record it to an SSD. Then you have your play section, and this is also pretty cool. You have play, stop, go back, skip forward, and then 1 and 2. So what this does is 5 and 6 is player 1 and 2. That's how I've set mine up. So if I hit 5 in preview, it will load it there. If I hit 6 in preview, it will load it over there. Now what you can do is if I'm on 5, here it is over here, and it is in preview, I can actually play this video and see if it is the one, and I can pause it, and then I can hit back. It will go back a video, and then I can just skip forward to that video again. I can hit 2, and then I can actually play what is in number 2, and if that is the one, I can hit back and forward. You can skip to the next one or back, and there it is. This is really handy to have to play through videos, to sift through them while they kind of, in your media player 5 and 6, and the fact that you can just go here and select them too, and you can kind of see. It's going to be a lot more going into the videos in a sec. Then you have next transition over here, which is actually your keys. So you can put your keyer on into preview depending on what that keyer has been set at. And then your downstream key, and I'll get into this in a bit, and your DSK2. So you've got 2 downstream keys as well as a key, and I'll show you that in a sec. Then you have your program buttons and your preview buttons. How this works is tap a preview button, loads it into the preview. And if I tap a program button, it'll actually just go straight into program. So you can line up your shots into preview like the normal Osee Go stream, the Duet, and the smaller deck. And that is exactly how that works. Then you have MP1, MP2, Supersource, and Function. And I'll get to the function buttons in a bit because they're a little bit different and probably going to be very useful to some and maybe not so useful to others. Right, so in the preview, I'm going to load MP1, and then you've got MP2, and these are actually just your pictures that you can load, and I'm going to show you in a sec how to actually load them in here. These have been loaded for my keys at the moment that I was playing with, so I'll show you that in a bit. You then have Supersource, which is over here, which is a multi-view that I've set up, and then I'm going to show you that in a bit too. And you can just toggle these into your preview, obviously, and then you can cut straight to it, and those videos that are loaded in there will automatically play as well. So there's no need to go and hit play on it. They automatically play. When they stop, it cuts back to the last preview screen as you saw, which is really, really cool. Then you have mix, wipe, dip, and preview, cuts and auto. Mix is the mix that you have. It's just a standard fade. Wipe is the wipe that has been set up in the menu, which I will show you. Dip is to dip to a specific color or image or a pattern. And then you've got preview, and this allows you to actually preview your transition in the preview over here, and you can actually see what will happen with that transition without it affecting your actual program out. And then you can just switch it off. And then obviously you have your T-bar for those people that love a good T-bar, if that is a thing. The menu. Now I'm going to take you through the menu, and I'm going to timestamp everything so that if you are coming here because you don't know how something works, hopefully I can help you. I'm going to try and show everything as much as I can. Some of it obviously I'll leave out just a little bit, but I will touch on it. But for the majority, I'm going to take you through this intuitive, super cool menu. Now the menu works much like the previous OC Go stream. Hit menu and your menu pops up over here and you use this dial to actually just scroll through. And I'm going to start at the top and work my way down because we've got absolutely everything that you kind of see over here and more all the way into the menu. So I'm going to start with the color, and color 1 and color 2 allows you to choose a specific color. You're doing an event and the brand's got a specific color. You can choose that color and then have them set in the colors, and you'll see why colors are important just now. Just like the super source over there, you can see that I'm actually using color number 1, and that is where those colors are. It's basically baking them into a setting of color 1 and color 2. So when you are needing to use colors, you can do that. Moving down into multi-source, and this is kind of the super source that I showed you, but what Osee has done over here, they've created a few templates. So I can go over here and I can choose a specific template. So let's go ahead and we're going to choose, for argument's sake, let's pick this template, and I'm going to say confirm, and now it's changed my super source, as you can see over here. And now I can go back, and what's really, really simple is we can go to the window 1, and window 1 has been enabled. You can switch it off or you can enable it. So you can customize a pre-done template. And then I can just go further down and I can choose which camera needs to go in here. Perhaps let's do camera number 7. Great. And then we can go back. We can go to window 2. And window 2 is currently number 6. Let's put that video number 5. That's with Michelle. And then right over here, you can go and you can custom this as well. So we can change the X position, the Y position. We can increase the size, decrease the size. We can crop as well. We can crop the left of it out, the right of it out. So let's make this one a little bit longer. Crop it to the right. And then obviously you can crop the top off too. As you go down, you can crop the bottom. And then we hit menu to go back and we go down to the graphic. Now in the graphic, we've chosen color 1, there's color 2, there's the color bar, and then there's black. And you will place that in the background. There's picture 1, picture 2, MB2, MB2 key, and you can key them as well. So let's just go back to color 1 because it looked a lot better. And for some reason, you can choose if you want them in the background or the foreground. That is really cool if you have created a very cool, like a gaming template or a template with a border, and you kind of just want that image to sit behind it, perhaps a PNG. Really, really handy so that those other videos will shine through underneath. Moving back, and that is kind of how your super source works. To activate that super source, you load it into the preview and then we can cut to it. And as I cut to it, the video of Michelle will play, and I can change this to program. And there is that video playing and you can see me. And yes, you are definitely going to see a delay. And there's a big, big reason for that delay. It's not really that delayed. I've actually got this running out into a mixer, coming back so that I can record my multi-view. So this can go into there's a lot going on here in the setup. So there is some HDMI delay over here, but yes, you definitely will get a bit of a delay. Unfortunately, that is the nature of HDMI regardless. So just keep that in mind. Right, we're back to me being over here and we need to change this to, let's go to number 2. Can we switch out to number 2? And we are back over there. Fantastic. Right. We're going to head over to the key section over here. Right. Now in the key type, this is this key over here. This allows us to change this key type to picture-in-picture, pattern, chroma, or luma key. So whether you want to use a chroma key for a background that's green or blue, or you wanted to use this as picture or a luma, it's pretty much the same. So what happens is you activate it first by saying, okay, I want to do picture-in-picture. So let's select picture-in-picture. And then you go down to picture-in-picture, and this is where your settings are. So we're going to do that in, the source of that is going to be camera 2. And we're going to go to size and position and the mask. Now all we've got to do is we've got to switch this key button into preview. So let's put something else in the preview. Let's put number 3 in the preview. See Daisy. And then we're going to hit key over here, and you can see it's going to pop up in that little window. Now we can change the size of it, as well as the X position and the Y position. We can also change a mask, and we can put a crop mask on it, and we can even change the border. And the border, you will go here by hue, and you will adjust the hue, but you're not going to see anything because we need to push that saturation up. And then we can adjust the hue, so there's really any color a light green. If we take down the saturation, the brightness, we can adjust the width of that border too, as you can see. And that is how that key works. So if I switch it off, it goes off. If I go to key and I load it in a preview, I can take it on air as well. And now it's obviously on air. And then much like the picture-in-picture under key, we can change the top one over here to, let's go here, and we can change this to Luma key, and all the settings are very similar. So once you start playing around with this, it's kind of cool that they've kept it in the same place because it's pretty easy. So there's key type, we're going to go to Luma, and we can change the full source to whatever we want to. We're going to change it to camera 2, we're going to load it in the key, and let's just get it right. You can really play around with this and get absolutely crazy. You can enable a mask on that key. And let's just make this live. So it is on air right now. The key control, here we go. And then by adjusting these, you can change that Luma exactly how you want to and really dial it in and play with whether you're using lower thirds or you're trying to get creative. You can really play around with the key. I'm going to take that off because chroma key and Luma key, somewhat very similar, changing the background. If you use it, you know how to use it. So I'm not going to delve too deep into those because there's a lot to get to. All right, so moving on to your downstream key over here. We've got downstream key 1. Now I'm going to hit DSK1 at the bottom, loading it into the preview. As you can see, my downstream key is picture 1, MP1, and I'm using that, and the key source is MP1 as well. And let's just head back. We're going to go into the mask. I haven't masked it off. I don't need a mask. This is a PNG lower thirds that I created, the key control and the size and the position. And if I want to take it on air, I can hit on air, or I can just switch it off air, leave it in the preview and cut from the preview into there. So how to set this up is pretty cool. We head down into media player, MP1 selection. So we'll go into still upload. And we can check over here, let's say, for instance, it is number 7. So let's take it as number 7 again. We'll go number 7, still upload. It has been uploaded, as we know. We go into here and we choose still 76543. As you can see, it's changing in that downstream key that I've loaded. So we'll go and we'll choose number 7 because it was number 7. And then we just head back up into the downstream key. And that is how you set it up. And the same can happen number 2. Now my number 2 isn't actually set up. As you can see, I've got a error window over there. So let's head into the DSK2. We're going to go into source and we're going to choose input 3 for this. Let's see if this works. I'm going to choose the size and position, DSK2, and activate in preview. And I'm going to make it a bit smaller. And then we can choose the X and Y position. And we can use this as a lower thirds too, or we can put an image or a logo here as well. So you can pretty much use them for anything. And you don't have to go in there and set it up absolutely every single time. And by saying that, I'm going to show you now exactly what I mean. Over here in the memory, you can actually create anything you want to and recall it by using memory. What that means is when I hold in number 5, it hasn't been activated. I'm going to hold in number 5, and it's going to start to flash red. Well, it doesn't flash, it's on. We're going to hit menu. We're going to open up our menu. You kind of got to remember that it's recording everything that you've done. So let's go in and load a new DSK over here. So let's say we're going to put preview on DSK because when we hit it, we want it to appear in the preview before we just randomly cut to it. And let's change that input to number 2, key source number 2, and we're going to change the mask of it. We're going to switch a mask on. We're going to crop the left out just a bit. We're going to crop the right out just a bit. And let's go back, key control, size and position. We're going to go to the size. We're going to increase it. We're going to lift up the Y position. And I think if my head was over here, it's kind of looking good. Move the X position over just a bit. I think we can actually crop this a little bit more. Let's go to mask. We crop more out on the right. And there we go. Right, now I'm happy with that. And I can just go back. And then I hit the red button again, number 5. And now it's actually saved all of that. So we're going to get rid of our downstream key. Let's say we bring up number 1, right, which is that, into the preview. I've hit memory 1, which I've previously saved, and I can cut to that. And I can talk to you. I can tell you that this is an OBS connected via USB-C, and it's working absolutely perfectly fine straight via USB-C into channel number 7. And I'm going to cut away from it, and my lower thirds is there, and this image is back. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hit number 5, right? So we can switch off the downstream key on number 1, which was in the preview, and we hit number 5, and it's automatically going to bring up that image over there. I can cut to it. So it's bringing up this image. Everything's the wrong way around for me. It's bringing up this image over here, regardless of the image that's here. In other words, what I'm meaning in my program, I can swap my program out. I can swap my program from there to 2 to 3, and it keeps this one over here until I switch away and turn off that downstream key. And that is how the memories actually work. The scene, then you've got transition. And I told you about the cut, the auto. Over here, you can change your rate of the mix to 8 seconds. And now when I cut or auto, it will take 8 seconds to get from the one to the next, which is probably a bit long. Then we're going to go to the dip. And yeah, we can choose the full color of the black, the dip. We can even choose an image. We can choose MP1, MP2, or we can actually choose a camera. So every time it fades to, let's say, camera 3, it will use camera 1's fade in between to dip. So let's just activate dip. As you can see there, it uses camera 1 to hit that dip. Go back up to mix. And then we're going to go down here to wipe. And here you can actually change the wipe. So let's go to this one. We're going to activate wipe over here on the keyboard. And we're going to hit auto. And as you can see, it's wiping using that. You can change the rates. You can change the direction. Pretty simple. Pretty easy, self-explanatory on that. Moving back, you've got auto switching. Now, auto switching is much like using this as a podcast. You can enable auto switching, and once you've enabled it, you'll see that this button goes from white to red, meaning it doesn't work. It's using video follows audio. I'm going to switch it off for now, and we are going to go over here, and we're going to enable audio A. Now, this is pretty simple to understand, but you need to get your head around this for a second. So in audio A, we need to say that audio A is input 1, meaning camera 1, or we can change that to mic 1, mic 2. So for now, we're going to say audio A is camera 1, and then we can choose the threshold of that. Much like with B, audio B, we're going to say is mic 2 for argument's sake, and then we're going to go to video mapping. So audio A, which is that camera, I want it to leave it on that camera. So when that audio is picked up the majority of the time, it will switch to that camera. Audio B mapping, which is the mic, I want that to switch to maybe camera 3, which is this camera up here. And then you've got A and B mapping, usually essentially, if it's taking both audios, 2 people are talking at once, we can switch to camera 7. Then you can change your switching period from normal, slow, or fast. And your A-B priority, you can balance it or high or low. So it will switch to the wide angle of both talkers more often, or it will just balance it. And that is essentially how auto switching works. Very simple to set up using 2 audio sources and linking them to essentially 3 different camera angles. Then you've got your audio mix, and this relates to all of these buttons that we've already looked at over here. However, there is a few extras. So input 1, if I go over to input 1 and I switch it on or off, you can actually see that if I head into the menu and I go to input 1, I can actually toggle it on and off, and it changes within that menu. So it's really kind of fiddling with those within the menu, but there is a lot more going on here. So let's take input 1 as an example. We're going to switch input 1, which is that camera. We're going to leave it on. The fader is -4. That is the gain, essentially. Then you've got audio effects, which we can switch them to on or off. And you can see it toggles on over here. Now, once you've switched your audio effects on, what that is saying is it will apply all of these settings for you. A low cut, noise gate, compressor, equalizer low, middle, and high. So let's say with our audio effects on, we want to add a low cut frequency. We want to enable the low cut, and we're going to leave it like that. But our noise gate, because we've got some noise, we're going to take the threshold up. This is something that you've really got to play with and dial it in. And the whole time we're going to take to 90 and the range a little bit lower down. And now what happens is these effects are on, and you can see I can actually toggle them on and off. So what helps now is you can have a custom preset for always mic 1. And when you get to a venue, let's say it's a bit noisy, you know that you can switch on that mic's effects. And then every single mic has its own different effects that you can actually switch on. And you can apply that to mic 1, mic 2, all the way to camera 8. And then you've got your program over here, which you can add a fader and a limiter on, your headphones, and you can adjust your headphones over here by the audio on the fly, which is really great. And then you've got a crossfade, and you can choose to hard cut it between the audio or switch with an effect. And that is audio in a nutshell. Moving on to media player. Now this is your MP1 over here and MP2. So if I load MP1 into the preview, you'll see it's just that screen. But if I want MP1 to be, let's say, that image, I can actually cut this to the program. I can even go back over here and send that straight to the program. So we're on output 2, we want to make it the program. And now you've got that pretty picture over there. And that allows you to customize MP1 and MP2 as additional mini kind of channels that you can actually switch to. And then this is where you change that upload. So you can load in images on your SD card, and then you can go over here and you can take, let's say for instance, slot number 9 is empty. You go down and you can choose what you want to put into slot 9. So let's put this one into slot 9. There it's loaded into slot 9. Head back, go to MP2 selection, and we're going to change this from still or a browser. Yes, you can have a browser in here too. Still number 9. And that is MP2. And if we load MP2 into the preview, you will see my logo will be there, and we can cut to that logo. That is how that works. Moving on, you have the browser URL where you can load a browser. Now I've played with this quite a bit. Not the most clued up person when it comes to RTMP pull streams and how the browser works. I have tried to pull up a browser. I'm assuming it's a specific file that you kind of use, but I haven't got it right as yet. If you do know, please let me know in the comments how to use this, because I am quite intrigued. I've tried to pull in live videos or maybe a website browser, and it just doesn't seem to work for me. I'm probably doing something wrong. Then you have your macros. You have a sleep on the macros that you can adjust. Then you have your scenes, those scene buttons that we referenced. And I'm going to show you something quickly, because I'm going to go into scene over here, and let's go to scene number 5, because we haven't loaded anything in scene number 5. You can see it's blank. We're going to select scene number 5, and we're going to say record. Now what it's done is kind of taken a snapshot of everything that you've seen over here. So let's close the menu. And we are really going to mix up all these camera angles and load different things into everything, and really kind of change from what we thought we had. So this looks a little bit different. Now we go to scene and we hit 5, and it loads everything into the previews as it was set out previously for your kind of project that you had. So you could even go and into the scenes. Let's make another one. I'm going to go into 6, but before we go into 6, let's put a, nope, let's load number 1, and we're going to put it on air. And then we're going to load something else into the downstream key, and we're going to put, whoopsie, we're going to put, let's say, camera 7 over there. So now we've got 2 downstream keys loaded as well. And let's go and save that as scene number 6. Now it's saved. Let's get out of here. And we're going to switch all of these keys off. We're going to change the cameras once again. Put a video into there. Put that over there. And now what we're going to go is to scene, and we're going to load number 6. And it loads all your camera angles, but it does not load your keys. So something to remember, your keys aren't loaded within it. It's kind of a snapshot of all those cameras and those angles. Really cool if you have different people coming on stage at different times and you want to plan it out and you kind of have a note jotted down. Then you have your stream key, stream 1, 2, and 3. Now you can do this on the computer software, which works absolutely great. Or alternatively, you can load these via TXT file into your SD card in the section. And then you can just go over here and you can load the key in here. So you can go to this one and we change this to YouTube RTMP. And now we know that's loaded into stream 1. And I can take stream 2 and switch it on. I can take stream 3 and switch it off. And so you can stream to 3 different channels or just to 1 at a time. Really nice to load multiple channels, especially if you work with different clients in their YouTube videos, onto the actual SD card. And then you can just toggle which ones you're working on today, and you can do that. Then you've got your load settings, and you can restore your defaults, your streaming quality, which goes from low, medium, and high. Usually keep it on medium unless you've got a very fast network. And that is your streaming. Moving over into playback. Now this is insanely cool. So for someone like me that works on a lot of different projects and one specific project every single year when we live stream, we have different ads that need to be played. And sometimes they are stingers followed by an ad or an ad followed by a stinger. And they need to switch up. There's a whole bunch of them throughout a 12-hour live stream. So what this does is it allows me to, remember if we hit P1 and you can see all those videos, and if we hit P2, it shows you those videos. So we can load a whole bunch of videos into P1 and a whole bunch of videos into P2. Now P1 is camera 5 or input 5 and P2 is number 6. Now with the player, you can choose it to group play and it will play that whole group out, or you can choose it to single loop, just play the same ad over and over, or just single play. And then when it's done, it will switch whatever's in preview. So if it's in program, it automatically plays, it will come back into preview. So here we are going to do group play. And afterwards, we're going to say single switch, and player 2 is going to be exactly the same. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to load camera 5. I'm going to switch this to program so you can see. I'm going to load camera 5 into preview, and I'm going to cut to this ad. You can see here, and then I'm going to load number 6 into preview. And what it's going to do is it's going to run this video finished. And when this video is done, it's going to automatically load, there we go, preview into the next one. And it'll actually just continue going. It will switch between 5 and 6 the whole time. And this will keep going until I say, right, when this is done, I'm going to hit camera 1 into preview, which is the shot of me. And when this is done now, you're going to see what's going to happen is it's going to automatically load me into the program. So you can walk away, you play a video, you hit number 1, and you go, when this video is done, I need to go back to the guy on the stage. Moving over, you've got your record. Now you can change the file name, the encoding from H.265 to H.264. You can change the recording quality, and this goes from low, medium, good, and high. Low, medium, good, and high. I always leave it on high. And then you've got your ISO channel enable. So you don't have to just record all channels. You can actually choose which ones to record. So even though you may have extra channels in on the day, but you only really need to record, mainly channel 1 and 2, you can do that. And you can toggle them on and off. And like I said, those record to your SSD. Then you've got your inputs. Now this is the part that changed this update to change this entire machine. Here you can choose over here, you've got 4 physical ports, meaning SDI and HDMI 1, will be all active. Camera 5 and 6, or input 5 and 6, will be stream input 1 or 2, as well as player 1 or 2, which is currently how I have it set. And then 3 and 4 can be the USB webcams. You can change this to 8 physical ports. Input 1 can be SDI 1, HDMI 1 is input 2, as you can see, and then you can change it. HDMI 1, 2, 3, 4 is input 1, 2, 3, 4, and then all your SDI cameras will run 5, 6, 7, and 8. So you can plug those in and fill it up, and then you have 8 physical ones. But what's really nice is if you do want to run it like that, but you want to maybe pull out, 5 and 6, you can still have your player as 5 and 6 and SDI 7 and 8. So 8 physical ports, 3, so SDI 1, 2, 3, 4, and then HDMI 5, 6, 7, and 8, depending on which cameras you want to prioritize. So they've given you 1, 2, 3, 4 different layouts of how you can change this deck and its inputs, which is absolutely amazing. And I think a lot of people are going to be so excited when this update drops that they've now got their H channel input that they originally were hoping to get. Very, very cool. Then you can change your source mapping. So right now I've got auto, so it will choose between HDMI or SDI. And then I can change input number 5 to RTMP pool or a SRT caller listener, which I'll show you in a bit. Mine's on player. And then you can change this to webcams, NDI 3, and you can still have all your webcams there too. So that I showed you, RTMP pool. If you are going to be pulling a stream into this, an SRT listener as well as a caller, and then you do have NDI for 5, 6, 7, and 8 if you do have any NDI devices available. And then obviously you've got that HDMI format for inputs 1, 2, 3, 4 that you can change the color profile on your inputs as well. That is how that works. Then you've got output, and you can change your output frame rate from 23,98, 24, 25, 29,97, 30, 50, 59,94, and 60p. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be happy about that. Your video mapping is output 1 is input 2, output 2 is input 2, and this is this here. So output 2 is input 2. Now you'll see if I change it over here, it'll actually change over there as well. So this is essentially doing what that does on the fly over here, so you don't have to dig into the menu. And then you can change your USB out to, so if you want to use that USB-C port into OBS or something like that, you can change it from program or specific input, and you can use that too. You've got your audio mapping, so this is pretty cool too. You can send output 1, which is, this is output 2. So I can send output 2, but I can send only audio of mic 1 to this, or I can send the program out. So this is very cool if you do have a venue and you're live streaming, but you're also sending something else to the venue and you want to send audio to a screen, or it's in a specific room at a conference. This is pretty damn awesome. USB out works the same, and then streaming out too, you can stream, not even program. So you can really mix and match. You can be different online or different over there, and really have a good time with this. This is quite crazy. And then HDMI format, you can choose the output to RGB full, RGB limit, and you can change your color profile on it. I've left mine on auto and I've never had an issue, but perhaps you end up with a screen that you do need to change. Then you have your settings over here. And in your settings, you've got the version. As you can see, this update, there will be a new one released, which will be a lot more better than the one that I'm currently showing you. And then you can choose your SD card or your SSD. You can actually choose to write your others, which is your program, to your SSD as well. And then once you've got your SSD plugged in, it will show in your ISO recording as well. Your network, if you've got a network plugged in, it will show you everything. Your button brightness, which I should have taken down long ago, so you can see these buttons over here. As you can see how bright they get really bright. So let's just take that down to about over there. And then you've got your device profile. You can import and export the entire profile so that you can save it for later. Your language, factory reset, disk format, if you want to format the SD card or the SSD. And that is pretty much the menu in a nutshell. I know there's a lot going on here, but I had to show you all of that because honestly, everything that this thing can do is wildly cool. There's a lot going on. 8-channel mixer, ISO recording, the fact that you can have 2 media players and let them chop and change between, and it automatically cuts back to the preview. All of this is so amazing to have in a device like this. You've got the 10 memories, you've got the 10 scenes. Absolutely love it. Computer software. Now in the computer software, you do have, at the bottom, one is a home button, then there's an audio, and then there's picture and settings. Now how this works is in your home section, you have access to multisource, the switcher, the key, the downstream key, auto switching. So everything that is in the actual mixer itself is here in computer software, so you don't have to physically use the actual deck and the unit itself. This is really nice if you have someone controlling the deck and you do want to sit to the side on a computer and actually work on it. So great for a two-man setup or someone that just doesn't really want to touch the mixer too much. Now these are the audio settings for mic 1, mic 2, and you can change them from XLR to 3.5, but this is not the whole audio section. That is at the bottom tab, and I'm going to get to that in a bit. So you can change it to dynamic XLR. This is your media player with your MP1 selection, so your stills, and you can change it much like you can do on the mixer. You then have your record section, and you can control your ISO recording here as well. And then there's your I/O settings, which is your inputs and your outputs, at what you can change that new port section. So if it's a 4-port or an 8-port mixer into its physical ports. So all that is customizable over here. Really, really great to see this integrated into the computer software. Now over here, you can change your program, your preview, and you can swap it out and it changes live on your actual multi-view. And you can add your keys. You can put them on air or load them into preview as well. With your transition style, your recording, and you can start and stop. You can also control your players over here, so you can start and stop and switch between videos, and you can see them in your multi-view, and you can just switch them out. Moving into the audio section, here it is absolutely crazy. There's a lot going on. Mic 1 and mic 2 is dedicated on the left-hand side. Here you can change your effects with your DSs, your compressors, and your noise gate, and you can add those. You can switch them off, and then obviously with your inputs 1 through to 8, you can obviously toggle those on as well, change your audio follows video, and as you swipe through, you've got all those audio channels. Then in your picture section over here, this is your media section. You can actually just upload images over here, making it a lot easier for a lot of users, I suppose, as opposed to working through the deck itself. Then in your settings, this is actually the multi-view, and you can actually customize that multi-view, whether you want to display all 8, like when you tap the multi-view button on the deck itself, and you can actually customize where you want to lay out your inputs for yourself. So this is great if you want to customize it. Maybe you've got a specific workflow that you usually follow, or you've only connected maybe 4 or 5 cameras and you want to only have those available, and then you can chop and change and really make it your own. The verdict. Now for $799, this is absolutely insane. A full 8-channel ISO mixer, nothing right now at $799 gives you full 8-channel with everything this can do, plus ISO recording. ISO recording is usually pretty expensive, and right now this is only really comparable to the older ISO recording ATEM Mini Extreme, if I'm not mistaken, and that was a lot more expensive than this, and this can do a lot more than that ever could do. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'll try and answer them if I can, and hopefully I've touched on everything over here that really has helped you. I will leave a link in the description as well where you can head over and check out the GoStream Duet 8 ISO or pick one up. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it wherever you're in the world. Have a good day, good evening, and good night. Goodbye.